Here's the truth about procrastination that most people never hear. It feels good because your brain is trying to protect you. The moment pressure hits, deadline on the screen, knot in the stomach, doubt in the chest, your system reaches for relief. That scroll, that snack, that quick, "I'll start after coffee" gives you certainty in a single breath. It soothes the discomfort instantly, and your brain tags that move as safe. Not lazy, not broken. Safe. The problem is subtle. The relief shows up now, the reward from progress shows up later, so your brain keeps choosing now. If you've blamed yourself for that choice, stop. You're not weak. You're wired to reduce tension and avoid threat. The real shift begins when you bring relief to the first seconds of action. Imagine pairing a calming breath, a familiar sound, and a tiny, ugly first line with opening the file. That's not motivation. That's training your nervous system to feel safe at the start. Today, you'll see exactly how to make starting feel as rewarding as escaping. No tricks, no shame. Just a clear path to move relief into action, momentum into identity, and progress into something that feels good right away. Ready to flip the script and make the first step the best feeling moment of your day. The sweet escape moment. Picture the scene exactly as it happens in your life. The task is open. The cursor blinks like a metronome tapping your nerves. Your jaw tightens. Shoulders rise a notch. A question slips in. What if this isn't good enough? That single thought elevates tension, and your brain does what a survival system is designed to do. It scans for a way to reduce discomfort quickly. Your eyes drift. Your hand moves almost by itself. Phone, fridge, new tab. That first pivot delivers a tiny, undeniable wave of comfort. Your breath loosens. The pressure drops half a notch. In your body, this feels like safety, not failure. Your system tags the escape as a win because it solved an immediate problem, the unpleasant feeling sitting at the start line. This is the sweet escape moment. It's precise, it's fast, it's teachable, and every time it works, the loop strengthens. Look closely at what the mind whispers to justify the pivot. I'll start right after this. I just need a minute to clear my head. I should organize my desktop first. These lines are not random. They are relief scripts. They create a bridge between tension and comfort that your brain learns to trust. When you take that bridge, your system updates its map. The task equals threat. Escape equals relief. Next time, the urge arises even earlier, disguised as a smart, reasonable decision. That is why it feels good in the body and looks rational in the moment. The relief is real, but it is attached to the wrong move. Now track the timeline 10 minutes forward. The small wave of relief fades. The task still waits, heavier for having been avoided. The cost shows up as a dull ache of guilt, a tighter chest, a touch of self-criticism. The mind repeats a familiar label: lazy, undisciplined, behind. That label is corrosive. It feeds shame, and shame increases avoidance. The system doubles down on escape to fix the feeling that escape created. This is a self-reinforcing knot. You are not broken. You are stuck in a clever loop that values guaranteed comfort now over a better outcome later. To change this moment, do not try to battle the escape head-on. Fighting an urge often amplifies it. Instead, move the relief to a different location on the timeline, the first seconds of action. Name the exact instant the pivot usually happens, then insert a simple, consistent sequence that your nervous system can learn and trust. One calm inhale through the nose, one long exhale to drop the shoulders. Open the file. Type a deliberately imperfect first line that cannot be judged. Pause. Feel the relief you would normally get from the escape and let it settle in your body while the file is open and the first line exists. You just taught your system that starting can produce safety. This is not motivation. This is conditioning. Keep the ingredients stable so the association sticks. Same breath cadence, same seat, same sound cue, same ugly first-line ritual. The goal is not to write well. The goal is to attach comfort to initiation. If your mind argues that the line is terrible, agree quickly and continue. Terrible is the point. Terrible is safe. Safe is repeatable. Repeatable wins. Expect the urge to escape to spike again within the first minute. When it does, do not dramatize it. Label it. Here is the urge. Breathe once. Touch the keyboard with intention. Add 7 more words, even if they're placeholders. Stop for 2 seconds and notice that your pulse did not rise. You just gave your body a second proof that beginning is not a threat. 2 proofs make a pattern. Patterns become paths. Paths become the new reflex. There will be days when the sweet escape calls with more force. Fatigue, stress, perfectionism, or fear of evaluation can amplify tension at the start line. The answer does not change. Shrink the beginning until it is beneath your threat threshold. Lower the bar to a level you cannot fail. Open the document and write a working title that you may replace later. If even that feels like too much, write a single permission sentence. I am allowed to start badly. This is not about lowering standards forever. This is about lowering the cost of entry today so you can raise the ceiling tomorrow. A friend would be honest here. The sweet escape will always feel good in the first seconds. That is how you are wired. The difference is where that sweetness lives. Right now it sits on the other side of avoidance. Shift it to the first move. Repeat until your body believes you. When you do, the old reflex loses its grip. You will feel the same comfort at the point of starting that you used to feel at the point of escaping. That is the beginning of dependable momentum. That is how the sweet escape becomes the sweet entry. Comfort. Now, reward later. Imagine 2 clocks sitting side by side on your desk. One clock pays you in seconds, the other pays you in hours. When tension spikes at the start of a task, the first clock, the Comfort Now clock, offers instant certainty. One scroll, one sip, one glance at messages. Your nervous system caches that reward immediately, and the body relaxes. The second clock, the Reward Later clock, holds the payoff from progress, clarity, pride, completion, relief from the looming weight. That reward is real, but it arrives after effort and uncertainty. When your system has to choose between guaranteed relief now and delayed relief later, it leans toward now. Not because you lack discipline, but because short-term rewards are louder, clearer, and safer in the moment. This is how the choice unfolds in the body. You anticipate difficulty, the chest tightens, and the mind forecasts possible failure. The Comfort Now clock rings with a simple, predictable solution. Do something easy and feel better instantly. Your attention pivots, your internal alarm quiets, and your brain marks that move as correct. The mapping is efficient. Tension equals threat. Comfort equals safety. Therefore, choose comfort. Over time, this pattern becomes automatic. The first hint of pressure triggers a move toward relief. The learning is powerful because it's paired with immediate feedback. You feel better right away, so the system stores the behavior with a gold star. Meanwhile, the Reward Later clock is running on a delayed schedule. It requires trust. It asks you to start before you feel ready and to believe that the feeling will improve after motion begins. The brain struggles to believe in rewards that are out of sight. If the payoff is too far away, or if the steps to get there are unclear, the Now clock wins by default. This is why you can deeply want the long-term outcome and still choose the short-term comfort. Your biology prioritizes certainty. Immediate relief is certain. Future reward is a probability. The fix is not to shame the Now clock. It is to bring the later reward closer to the present and to make it felt. You do this by compressing the distance between starting and feeling good. Engineer a near-term payoff that sits inside the first 30 to 120 seconds of action. Create a signal your body can trust. One calming breath that drops your shoulders. One sensory cue you actually enjoy. One deliberately imperfect line typed within 5 seconds of opening the file. Then pause and recognize the shift. Let your system register relief while you are inside the task, not outside it. You are moving the payout from the future into the present. There is another lever, clarity. The Reward Later clock becomes louder when the next move is obvious. Vague goals extend the delay. Concrete first steps shorten it. Replace Write the report with Open Document Paste Title, List 3 messy points. The more you can collapse ambiguity, the faster your body feels the tiny wins that keep you anchored. Combine this with a small visual cue, a timer counting down 90 seconds, a single green check mark appearing on screen, and you stack present moment rewards where your biology can see them. Expect the now clock to test you. It will present rational invitations. Tidy your workspace, research a bit more, check one quick message. These are comfort-disguised tasks because they offer immediate relief with the illusion of productivity. Label them for what they are. Then ask one question. What move gives me a felt win inside the next 60 seconds? Make that move, then notice the internal state change. You are teaching your nervous system that relief can live within action. There is a key identity shift here. Stop trying to be the person who resists the now clock through sheer force. Become the person who collects tiny, present moment wins inside the work. This identity is lighter. It reduces strain. It gives you constant proof that progress can feel good now, not only later. Over days, those proofs stack. The now clock quiets because it no longer owns relief. The later clock moves up, closer, easier to believe. The moment you sense that shift, starting will no longer feel like a cliff. It will feel like a step you know how to take, with a reward you can count on immediately. The hidden relief circuit. Look at the moment before you pivot. There is a discomfort spike that arrives fast and quietly. It can be a thought like "this might be bad," a sensation like a tight throat, an image of someone judging your work. That spike is the trigger. Your system flags it as a threat and searches for the fastest way to turn the alarm off. You reach for a familiar escape because it is reliable. You scroll, you snack. You check something that looks productive but costs nothing emotionally. The instant you do, the alarm drops. That drop is the relief surge. It is small, but it is certain. Your brain logs certainty with high priority. The loop closes. Discomfort, escape, relief. Each completion of this loop deepens the groove, making the next pivot faster and more automatic. The loop is rewarding because it solves a real problem. Not the task itself, but the feeling attached to the task. If the feeling is the problem your system is focused on, the solution that wins is the one that removes the feeling now. That is why the relief feels good and persuasive. It is not pretending, it is delivering. The cost is hidden because it is delayed. 10 minutes later, the work is untouched, the deadline is closer, and the discomfort returns stronger. You try to fix it by doing the same thing that gave you relief last time. The loop accelerates. You feel frustration at yourself, which adds new discomfort to the stack, which increases the urge to resolve it quickly. The loop now has momentum. It runs on relief, not logic. To disrupt this, you need to see the loop in slow motion. Name the parts out loud when they occur. Discomfort spike. Here. Urge to escape. Here. First step of escape. Here. Relief surge. Here. This labeling does two things. It gives you a fraction of a second of distance, and it turns an unconscious reflex into a visible pattern. Patterns can be rehearsed differently. In that fraction of a second, insert a move that creates relief without leaving the task. Breathe once with intention. Soften your jaw. Open the file. Type the least impressive sentence you can, then pause for 1 second and register the shift in your body. You are chasing the same relief, but you are collecting it inside action. The loop also depends on friction. High ambiguity creates bigger discomfort spikes. Reduce ambiguity and the spike shrinks. When you sit down, do not hold the entire task in your mind. Hold only the next motion your body will make. Fingers on keys. Cursor to the title field. Type a working headline. The smaller and more physical the target, the less threatening it feels. Your system is more willing to test a tiny step because the perceived risk is low. If you can make the first motion completely safe and slightly rewarding, you will feel the relief surge without escaping. There is a second hidden reinforcement: identity protection. Escaping preserves the story that you could do great work if you wanted to. You just haven't started yet. Starting risks that story. When the discomfort spike contains identity threat, the urge to protect yourself intensifies. The way through is to redefine success at the start. Success is not quality. Success is contact. Touch the task. Touch equals progress. Progress equals safety. Repeat this standard until your system believes it. The relief then comes from being in integrity with the identity you want, someone who opens the file when it's time. Expect the old loop to attempt a comeback disguised as preparation. You will feel pulled to optimize tools, outline endlessly, seek one more reference. Preparation is valuable when it reduces friction. It becomes escape when it postpones contact. Ask one question at the threshold. Does this step create contact within 60 seconds? If the answer is no, it is likely part of the old loop wearing a new mask. Choose the step that creates contact now. Then pause, breathe, and let the body feel the relief of being in motion. With repetition, the loop rewires. The discomfort spike still appears, but it no longer predicts escape. It predicts a breath and a tiny, safe move. The relief surge still appears, but it lands inside the task. The habit groove changes direction. You will notice the first urge to avoid losing its grip and a new urge rising quietly. The urge to get that first tiny win because it feels good. When that shift arrives, the circuit no longer hides. It serves you. That is how the loop that once stole your time becomes the engine that starts it. The friction at start line. There's a reason the first 30 seconds feel heavier than the rest. The brain doesn't just measure effort. It measures uncertainty, ambiguity, and threat to self-image. When you stare at a blank page or an undefined task, your system inflates the expected cost. Not because the work is impossible, but because the start is poorly defined. Ambiguity turns a step into a fog. In the fog, the mind predicts danger, wasting time, exposing flaws, being judged. The predicted pain arrives before the work begins, so your body moves to avoid it. That's why you feel an outsized push to escape right at the threshold. It's not the whole task that feels impossible, it's the uncertainty of the first move. Friction has three common sources at the start line. Ambiguity. You don't know the next motion clearly enough to trust it. Oversized scope. You're holding the entire mountain in your head and trying to climb it in one step. Identity threat. You're tying the outcome to your worth, so a bad first line feels like a verdict. These three multiply each other. Big scope makes ambiguity worse. Ambiguity makes identity fear louder. Identity fear magnifies perceived effort until the start looks like a risk you shouldn't take. The escape then feels rational. Why step into fog when you can do something certain and painless right now? The antidote is micro-clarity. Replace the idea of starting with the description of a single physical action. Do not say, "Start the report." Say, "Open the document." Type the title as a placeholder. Write one ugly sentence that captures the point badly on purpose. Physical is powerful because the body understands it instantly. A hand motion is easier to trust than a conceptual objective. When the next move is crystal clear and requires less than 15 seconds, your system lowers the predicted cost. The threat shrinks enough for you to try. Trying is the only door to momentum. Scope reduction is not about lowering standards, it's about sequencing. Your best work emerges after contact, not before. Break the work into scenes rather than outcomes. Scene 1. Contact the file. Scene 2. Create scaffolding with 3 messy bullet points written as fast as you can. Scene 3. Improve one line by one notch. Each scene is small enough to feel safe and fast enough to feel rewarding. You are collecting proof that forward motion doesn't hurt. Proof is what your nervous system trusts. Identity friction needs a different handle. When the start is treated as a test of worth, hesitation spikes. Shift the contract. At the beginning, your job is not to be impressive. Your job is to be present. Presence is a standard you can meet every time. Define success at minute 0 as touch the task and leave a mark. The mark can be clumsy, brief, or provisional. When you meet that standard, your system receives a clean signal. I did what I said I would do. Integrity creates safety. Safety lowers friction. Lower friction makes the next minute easier. There's a subtle trap that masquerades as productivity. Pre-start optimization. Organizing folders, fine-tuning templates, searching for the perfect tool. Optimization reduces friction only if it produces immediate contact with the task. If it postpones contact, it is friction wearing a helpful mask. Apply a single test at the threshold. Will this action put me in direct contact with the task within 60 seconds? If not, it belongs later. If yes, it belongs now. This keeps your energy pointed at the start line instead of orbiting it. Another reliable friction reducer is pre-cueing the environment. Place your cursor in the title field before you stop the previous session. Leave a 2-word note to your future self. Next line, explain X. Keep the first tab, document, or tool open and visible so the path is frictionless. Pre-cues act like tracks for a train. When you sit down, you're already aligned. There is no negotiation with yourself about where to begin. You begin where the track leads. Finally, name what the first 30 seconds should feel like. Light, quick, non-judged. If the start feels heavy, slow, or evaluative, you're still carrying too much. Shrink again. Repeat until you feel the internal click that says, I can do that now, then move immediately. Speed matters here because hesitation gives friction time to rebuild. When you act inside that small window, you create a memory that starting is doable and safe. Collect a few of these memories, and the start line stops feeling like a wall. It becomes a doorway you know how to walk through without thinking. Relief inside action. The most important flip you will make is simple to say and powerful to feel. Move the relief you crave into the first seconds of doing the task. Your nervous system is not persuaded by lectures about productivity. It responds to signals of safety and reward. Right now, those signals live outside the work. You escape, you feel better, your body learns that escape equals comfort. Bring that comfort inside the work, and the map changes. The body learns that opening the file, typing the first crooked sentence, or sketching a rough outline can produce the same easing in the chest that a scroll or a snack delivers. Once that association is built, the urge to start arrives faster, because starting promises the feeling you want. Build the relief into a repeatable entry sequence so your system knows what to expect. Use one breath that drops your shoulders, one sound that you like, one tiny action that cannot be judged. The breath signals safety, the sound signals familiarity, the tiny action signals completion. This sequence compresses the distance between initiation and reward to under 30 seconds. Short distance matters. The shorter the distance, the easier it is for your biology to choose the path that leads into the work. You are not muscling past an urge, you are dissolving it by satisfying its core demand. Reduce discomfort now. Precision matters. Relief must be felt, not imagined. After the breath, register the loosening in your jaw. After the sound, notice the small lift in mood. After the first line, pause for 1 second and recognize that a micro win is present. That recognition tag is what writes the new association. If you rush past it, the body misses the reward and defaults to old habits. If you linger too long, you lose momentum. Train a tight rhythm. Breathe, cue, act, acknowledge, continue. 30 to 90 seconds is enough to create a felt shift without turning the ritual into a stall. Expect the mind to negotiate. It will suggest that relief should come after producing something good. That standard keeps the reward far away. Replace it with a standard that front-loads relief. Relief for contact, not quality. Contact is opening the file, placing a placeholder title, writing a flawed first line. Contact satisfies the nervous system because it proves you moved toward the source of tension and nothing bad happened. That proof is the medicine. Quality will rise later when the system is calm enough to think clearly. Design the micro-relief elements to be personally enjoyable. Choose a sound you genuinely like, not one that tries to hype you up. Pick a scent, a lighting cue, or a tactile object that makes the start feel familiar. Familiarity lowers perceived risk. If a particular mug signals warm focus or a certain chair posture signals readiness, use them consistently. You are layering sensory cues onto the start, so the body recognizes the setting as safe territory. When the environment whispers safety, the first action lands softer. Keep the first action comically achievable. Type a single imperfect sentence, scribble a broken outline, record a scratch voice note that captures a messy thought. The point is to finish something tiny. Finished equals closure. Closure equals relief. Relief equals a reason to continue. If you feel the urge to judge the output, respond with a pre-written line. This is the starter, not the standard. Then continue. Judging the starter reintroduces threat and pushes relief back outside the work. Protect the starter with kindness and speed. Use time bounds to amplify the relief. Set a 90-second or 2-minute container and promise yourself you can stop once it ends. This time boundary shrinks the perceived cost and multiplies the sense of control, which is its own form of relief. Often, the urge to continue appears unprompted because you are now moving with less internal resistance. If it doesn't, honor the stop. Breathe once and either run a second short container or step away briefly. The integrity of the promise is part of what teaches your system that starting is safe. Track the change over a few sessions. In week 1, you will notice the relief arrive only after you consciously acknowledge it. In week 2, the relief begins to appear as soon as you perform the entry sequence. In week 3, the sequence compresses and the urge to escape weakens before it fully forms. You will feel it as a faint pull instead of a command. That is the sign that relief has relocated. It no longer waits on the other side of avoidance. It sits in your first move, ready when you are. When relief lives inside action, starting stops being a fight and becomes the quickest way to feel better. The 2-minute cinematic start. Think of this as directing the opening scene of your workday. You are both the actor and the audience, and your goal is to make the first 2 minutes feel so vivid, safe and winnable that your body leans in before your mind has time to negotiate. Start with a breath cadence that reliably calms your system. Inhale through the nose for 4 counts, hold for 1, exhale for 6. On the exhale, drop your shoulders and unclench your jaw. This isn't fluff. It's a signal to your nervous system that the environment is not hostile. Then cue an anchor sound that you use only for beginning. A soft click, a single piano note, a short ambient tone. Something you actually like. Repeated until your brain links it to the feeling of settling in. Now move into a single physical action with zero evaluation. Open the document, place your cursor, type a working title you will almost certainly replace. Do not pause for judgment. Keep the camera moving. Your next beat is the ugly first line. This line exists to shatter the glass between thought and text. It should be wrong, rushed, and utterly unremarkable. That is its function. Imagine a slate clapping at the beginning of a film scene. Imperfect, loud, essential. The slate marks the take. The ugly line marks the session. Without it, everything remains hypothetical and threatening. With it, the project exists in the world where you can shape it. Once the line is down, tighten the frame. Zoom your attention to one sentence, one figure, one transition, and nudge it forward by 1 notch. Not 2, 1. This preserves momentum without inviting self-critique. Structure the 2 minutes with visible time. Start a 120-second timer and place it where you can see it. You are signaling containment. This is brief, safe, controlled. The mind stops inventing a marathon when it sees a sprint. At the 30-second mark, register a micro-win out loud. Title placed. At the 60-second mark, first line on the page. At the 90-second mark, 1 notch improved. These acknowledgements are not pep talks. They are tags your brain uses to store the sequence as rewarding. If you do not tag them, the session feels emotionally flat and your biology will look elsewhere for bumps of relief. Layer sensory consistency so the scene feels familiar every time. Same seat position, same light level, same opening motion of your hands. The more elements you can standardize, the faster your system identifies this as a known beginning. Familiarity reduces cognitive load and lowers perceived threat. If you often work in different places, carry one portable cue, a specific mug, a small tactile object, a scent. Make it the totem of starting. When you see it or touch it, your body remembers the sequence and slides into it with less resistance. Keep dialogue in your head short and directive. Replace spinning thoughts with simple stage directions. Open, type, breathe, 1 line. Long internal arguments are frictions disguised as preparation. The 2-minute scene works because it removes negotiation. You are not deciding if the work is good or if the plan is perfect. You are filming the first shot so the rest of the movie can exist. This is the discipline of action over introspection at the threshold. If the urge to escape spikes during the scene, fold it into the choreography without stopping the take. Label it silently, urge present, then place your fingertips back on the keys and write 7 disposable words. This move keeps contact intact and proves the urge is survivable. Each time you do this inside the 2 minutes, you weaken the association between urge and exit and strengthen the association between urge and forward motion. That is the core rewiring we are after. At the 2-minute bell, you have 2 acceptable paths. Continue, riding the momentum you just built, or stop deliberately for 15 seconds, breathe once, smile with your whole face to cement the win, then restart another 2-minute scene. Both choices reinforce safety and control. Quitting at the bell on purpose teaches that starting does not trap you. Continuing at the bell teaches that action can feel self-propelling. Either way, the memory your body keeps is the same. The beginning felt good and cost little. Repeat this scene until it becomes reflex. In a week, you will notice that your hands move before your doubts finish their sentences. In 2 weeks, the anchor sound will produce a small drop in tension on its own. In 3, the sight of the cursor blinking will cue a micro rush of readiness instead of dread. That is a cinematic start doing its quiet work. You've taught your system that the first 2 minutes are predictable, brief, and rewarding. Once that truth is installed, you won't have to hype yourself up. You'll just roll camera and begin. The safety proof. Your nervous system trusts evidence more than intentions. It wants proof that beginning is not dangerous. Give it that proof with short practice reps that end early on purpose. Start with the smallest possible contact, then stop while it still feels safe. This flips the script your body carries about starting. Instead of predicting struggle, it predicts a brief, controlled experience that ends with you feeling a little better than before. That ending matters. It's the memory your system saves and replays the next time you face the threshold. Begin by choosing a tiny slice of work that takes under 90 seconds. Open the file, write 1 ugly line, then stop and breathe once through the nose with a slow exhale. Say 1 sentence internally. Safe to start. This is not affirmation theater. It is a label for your nervous system to store alongside the action. The label pairs the sensation of calm with the behavior of beginning. When you repeat it, the association tightens. The urge to escape dims because escape no longer owns the feeling of relief. Expect the escape impulse to spike even within these micro-reps. When it rises, do not wrestle it. Acknowledge it and keep contact by moving your hands. Type 7 disposable words or adjust 1 sentence by 1 notch. That tiny motion preserves the link between urge and action. If you stop to negotiate, the old loop tries to take over. If you move while naming the urge, you teach your body that the urge is a signal to proceed gently, not a command to quit. Over days, this becomes automatic. Urge appears, breath drops, hands move. No drama, just a new reflex. End each rep before fatigue or self-judgment enters the frame. Ending early is the secret. It creates an aftertaste of safety. Your system learns that starting does not trap you in a tunnel of effort. You remain in control. You can step in, step out, and return. Control reduces perceived threat, and lower threat makes starting easier tomorrow. This is why marathon sessions often backfire at the habit level. They might produce output once, but they store a memory of strain. Micro-reps store a memory of ease. Ease is what your body seeks when it approaches the threshold. Stack 3 to 5 of these micro-reps with 30 seconds of rest between them. During the rest, sit upright, let your gaze soften, and notice one pleasant sensation. Warmth in your hands, a relaxing jaw, the light on your desk. Marking a positive felt sense after contact with the task is part of the proof. It tells your biology, we touched the work and felt good. Without this mark, the session can feel emotionally neutral, which makes old escapes more attractive. You are gently making the start the most rewarding part of the cycle. Keep the criteria for a successful rep consistent. Contact the task, make a small mark, end early. Do not add quality requirements. Do not extend the timer because you feel momentum. Discipline here is about protecting the association, not squeezing extra output. There will be time to stretch later. Right now, you are teaching your body where safety lives. If you feel tempted to push past the boundary, remember that the memory of a pleasant end is the fuel for tomorrow's easy start. Over the next week, expect 3 phases. Phase 1, deliberate practice. You speak the cues, you watch the timer, you enforce the stop. Phase 2, automatic entry. Your hands begin to move as soon as you see the workspace, and the urge to escape shows up as a whisper, not a shout. Phase 3, flexible extension. You run micro reps back to back, or let one spill into a longer flow, but only after you've banked a few safe endings. This progression is not about willpower. It's about accumulating clean, embodied evidence that your beginnings are safe places to be. When setbacks happen, and they will, treat them as data, not verdicts. If a rep felt tense, ask which element failed. Was the action too big? The timer too long? The environment too noisy? The internal dialogue too evaluative? Adjust the variables and run a shorter rep. The goal is not perfection. The goal is to maintain a track record where the majority of starts end with your body calmer than it began. That track record becomes identity. Identity reduces friction. Reduced friction makes momentum likely. The safety proof is simple. Start small, stay kind, stop early, repeat often. Do this until your system doesn't just understand the logic, it believes the feeling. On that day, the first move stops being a cliff and becomes a familiar step. You will notice yourself beginning without a fight because the body goes where it has learned it is safe to go. Momentum. Without motivation. Motivation is a lagging signal. It rarely appears before you start. It shows up after your body senses progress. Waiting to feel ready is like waiting for heat before you strike the match. The reliable path is to create motion first and let emotion follow the trail you lay down. This is not a catchy slogan. It's how your nervous system works under uncertainty. The brain predicts less pain once it has contact with the task and a proof of capability. That prediction shift is what you experience as motivation. It arrives because you moved, not so you could move. When you treat motivation as the outcome of action instead of its prerequisite, the whole game gets easier. Build momentum with a ladder of micro-wins that your body can count. Think in notches, not leaps. One keystroke that places a title, one sentence that is allowed to be rough, one paragraph that exists before it is good. Each notch is deliberately small enough to avoid evaluation and large enough to register as completion. Completion changes chemistry. Tiny closures release tension and tell your system the path is safe. Stack closures and your state improves. When your state improves, your attention stabilizes. When attention stabilizes, you can do more in less time without straining for it. Use tempo to your advantage. Run short, rhythmic work bursts that are too brief to trigger dread and too focused to invite multitasking. 90 seconds on, 30 seconds off. 2 minutes on, 45 seconds off. Keep the cadence predictable so your mind relaxes into the pattern. Predictability reduces threat and increases the chance that you'll re-enter without debate. During the offbeats, do not leave the scene. Stay in the chair, soften your eyes, and breathe once. This preserves contact while letting your system harvest the relief of a pause. Relief inside the task, not away from it. The rhythm becomes a conveyor belt that carries you across patches where motivation used to fail you. Anchor each burst to a single, controllable target. If the target can't be finished in 2 minutes, make the target the smallest visible step toward finishing it. Visible is key. Your brain trusts what it can see. A changed word, a filled box, a line struck out on paper. If you can't point to it, your system devalues it, no matter how clever the thought felt. Let artifacts accumulate where your eyes land. Messy drafts, quick outlines, rough diagrams. You are building a runway of evidence that forward motion is happening. Evidence is a better fuel than hype. Interrupt momentum killers with a neutral reset. The moment you catch yourself tabbing out, label it and slide back in through the same door every time. Breath, anchor sound, one ugly line. By keeping the re-entry identical, you remove decision fatigue and shorten the time between derailment and contact. Consistent resets mean you never wander far from the task. You stop treating distractions as total failures and start treating them as brief detours. Detours don't break momentum when the road back is short and familiar. Protect flow by minimizing state switches. Every time you switch apps, roles, or topics, your brain pays a reorientation cost. That cost feels like lost motivation. Reduce switches by arranging your workspace to show only what the current scene needs. One document, one window, one tool. If you need reference material, paste it into a scratch area within the same document to avoid context hops. Fewer switches mean less friction. Less friction means steadier movement, and steady movement is what your body recognizes as momentum. End sessions with a planted start. Before you step away, leave a two-word cue at the top of your page. Next line, explain X. Place your cursor where the next keystroke belongs. Close with a single breath and a quiet sentence. I know where to begin. This sets the runway for tomorrow. Momentum survives overnight when the next step is obvious and small. Obvious prevents rumination. Small prevents avoidance. You start the next session inside the work rather than circling it. There will be days when your energy is low and your thoughts are sticky. On those days, narrow the scope even further. Momentum is not a mood, it is a pattern. One tiny notch still counts. Write a placeholder sentence and stop early. The integrity of keeping the pattern is worth more than the volume of output. Integrity sustains identity. Identity reduces friction, and reduced friction is the soil where motivation grows naturally after movement. Treat motivation like weather and momentum like architecture. Weather changes without your permission. Architecture is built on purpose. When you build a simple structure of micro wins, steady tempo, visible targets, quick resets, and planted starts, you create conditions where showing up is easy and continuing is automatic. You won't need to talk yourself into action because the system you run makes action feel like the shortest path to feeling good. That's the shift you're aiming for, not waiting to want it, but moving until wanting it catches up. Designing the first 60 seconds. The first minute decides whether your brain treats the task as hostile or harmless. Design that minute so it feels automatic, brief, and rewarding. Start by staging your environment before you begin. Clear everything that isn't part of this scene from your visual field. One document, one tool, one target. Place your cursor exactly where the next keystroke belongs. Leave a short cue to yourself at the top. Next line, explain X. This is a planted start. When you sit down, there is no debate about what to do first. Your hands can move before your doubts have a chance to speak. Motion beats negotiation. Choose a single sensory anchor to signal entry. It can be a soft tone, a specific lamp glow, or the feel of a familiar mug in your hand. The brain loves patterns. When the same cue precedes the same action repeatedly, your nervous system anticipates safety. Pair that cue with one controlled breath. Inhale through the nose for 4 counts, hold for 1, exhale for 6. On the exhale, let your shoulders drop and unclench your jaw. This turns down background noise so the first move doesn't feel like a leap. Now execute a tiny, visible action you cannot fail. Type a placeholder title, paste a rough note you wrote earlier, or write a single flawed sentence on purpose. The key word is visible. Your brain needs to see the mark you made to count it as real. Keep your inner dialogue compact and directive. Replace open-ended questions with stage directions. Open, type, breathe, one line, pause. Questions invite rumination. Directions create motion. In this minute, you're not evaluating ideas or planning the entire arc. You're crossing a threshold. The goal is contact, not quality. Treat the first line as a doorstop that keeps the door from swinging shut. Once it's in, the room is easier to enter. Shrink your target until it feels almost silly. If writing a sentence feels heavy, write 7 throwaway words that sketch a fragment of the idea. If that still resists, type a permission line. I am allowed to start badly. Then act. The brain cannot stay anxious and curious in the same breath. A tiny act of making shifts you toward curiosity. Curiosity is the antidote to dread at the start line, because it moves attention into the next small question instead of the final judgment. Guard the minute from state switches. Do not change apps, tabs, or tools. Each switch adds reorientation cost that your brain reads as increased effort. Increased effort inflates perceived threat. Keep everything inside one frame. If you need a reference, paste it into a scratch area in the same document before you begin. This keeps your eyes and hands in one place, so the start remains continuous. Continuity feels safe. Safety keeps you moving. Use a micro timer to contain the window. 60 seconds, visible on screen. Tell yourself the truth. This will be brief. Brief reduces resistance. As the seconds fall, tag your micro wins out loud or in a whisper. Cursor placed. First line down, one notch improved. Tagging is not cheerleading. It's data labeling. Your nervous system stores what you label. If you label the wins, the minute ends with a sense of closure. Closure is relief. Relief inside action changes where your body goes next time. End the minute deliberately. Either continue if momentum feels light or stop for 10 seconds, breathe and acknowledge, I know where to begin. Stopping on purpose proves you are in control. Control lowers threat. If you continue, do it without fanfare. The transition from 1 minute to the next should feel like stepping from one tile to another on the same floor. No jumps, no cliffs, just repeatable steps. The more repeatable the first step, the less energy you spend convincing yourself to take it. Expect subtle resistance dressed as smart ideas. Reorganize the folder, check a message, polish the title now. Label these as orbiting behaviors and return to contact. The room for creativity opens after you're inside, not while circling the door. This is the discipline of designing a start so clear and kind that your body wants to cooperate. When the first 60 seconds are scripted to feel safe and winnable, the rest of the session inherits that feeling. Your brain stops bracing and starts building. That is the point. Make the beginning so easy and rewarding that showing up is the path of least resistance. The mid-task dip, on camera. There is a predictable valley that shows up between early momentum and finishing. You feel it as a sudden urge to check something, tweak something, or step away for a second. This dip is not a personal flaw. It's your system recalculating cost when novelty fades and the next layer of thinking begins. The brain shifts from easy activation to deeper processing, and the energy draw increases. That increase feels like friction, and friction invites escape. Expect it, name it, then demonstrate in real time how to surf it without losing contact. When the dip hits, label it the moment you notice it. Dip here. Labeling shrinks the drama. Next, reduce load for 30 seconds without breaking contact. Zoom in on a fragment so small it's almost laughable. One sentence to clarify, one number to verify, one transition word to add. The point is not to progress impressively. The point is to keep the thread in your hands while your system rebalances. This tiny motion proves to your body that you can keep moving even while comfort drops. Proof, not pep talk, is what dissolves the urge. Bring your breath back online as a state lever. Inhale through the nose for 4, exhale for 6, once. The longer exhale nudges your nervous system toward calm. Pair the exhale with a single, neutral instruction. 1 notch. Then perform that notch. If you feel the pull to escape intensify, answer with 7 disposable words. Disposable means safe. Safe means doable. Once you place them, pause for 1 second and notice the matched pair. Urge present, action taken. This pairing rewrites what the urge predicts. It used to predict exit. Now it predicts a brief breath and a small move. Interrupt hidden exits that masquerade as helpful. Excessive formatting, refreshing emails, changing playlists, reorganizing notes. These look productive because they touch the task's edges, but they pull you out of the lane where the real work happens. Keep a scratch area on the side for later fixes and dump the impulse there with a timestamp. Offloading the urge preserves focus without fighting it. You are not denying the impulse, you are scheduling it. The mind relaxes when it knows the desire has a place to go. Use a micro timer to hold yourself inside the dip for 90 seconds. The container makes the discomfort finite. Say quietly, 90 seconds, 1 notch. Start the timer where you can see it. Each 20 seconds, glance and put a tiny tag on what moved. Clarified subject, tightened verb, added figure, placed filler line. These tags are not celebration, they are anchors. Anchors keep you from drifting into the storm of options your brain throws up when it's trying to flee. If the dip arrives with strong resistance, lower the cognitive ceiling. Read your last paragraph aloud in a monotone. Reading out loud forces linear attention and regulates pace. While reading, change nothing. When finished, make only one surgical edit. Stop. Breathe once. This pattern delivers mastery in miniature: attention, choice, completion. Mastery reduces threat. Reduced threat lightens the dip enough to continue. Protect your posture and eyes. Mid-task dips amplify when your body collapses. Sit tall, plant your feet, and soften your gaze to a wider frame for 5 seconds. Then narrow your focus back to the exact locus of work. This physical reset signals your brain that resources are available. When the body looks ready, the mind follows more easily than it admits. It's a quiet hack that costs nothing and returns clarity reliably. If the urge to quit spikes a second time, step into a deliberate pause that keeps you in scene. Hands off the keyboard, eyes on the same line, one slow breath, then one pre-written re-entry sentence. Next, explain why X matters. Type that sentence, even if it's ugly. Ugly keeps the door open. Door open beats polished exit every time. End the dip with a clean exit cue to mark recovery. Choose a word you repeat only here: steady. Say it once when you feel attention click back in. Then immediately perform a visible move bigger than a notch, but smaller than a leap. Complete a paragraph, finalize a figure, lock a transition. This move teaches your system that dips are survivable and followed by momentum, not collapse. Over time, your brain will predict the dip as a brief, manageable valley rather than a reason to bail. Prediction shapes experience. When the prediction changes, the valley shortens, and the road through becomes your default route. Identity beats willpower. Willpower is a brittle tool at the start line. It strains, it argues, it burns out. Identity is quieter and stronger. When you act as the kind of person who does a thing, the debate ends before it begins. Your nervous system likes predictability. Identity provides it. Instead of waking up to a fight, will I do it or won't I, you step into a role. I open the file on time. Roles shortcut negotiation. Negotiation is where most energy is lost. The more you anchor behavior to identity, the less force you need to begin, and the less attractive procrastination becomes because it no longer fits who you are. Build identity with actions so small they are undeniable. You don't have to feel like a focused person to be one. You only have to do the things focused people do, on a tiny scale, consistently. Open the document when the timer says, place a working title even if you'll replace it. Write one imperfect line when your cue sound plays. Each act is a vote. Votes don't need to be dramatic to count. They need to accumulate. 10 small votes in a day will beat one grand effort on a random afternoon because identity is statistical. Your system believes what you do often, not what you do rarely with flair. Write a one-line identity contract and keep it visible where the work happens. Make it behavioral, not aspirational. I am the person who starts on time for 2 minutes. That line is specific, measurable, and merciful. It gives you a tight doorway to walk through, not a mountain to climb. Say it once as you sit, then act. Don't wait for conviction. Conviction grows from concord between words and moves. Each time your action matches your line, your mind updates the model of who you are. That update lowers future friction because your system prefers to stay coherent with its story. Use tiny public commitments to stabilize the identity. Not performative pressure, but gentle witness. Tell a friend you'll send them a time-stamped screenshot of your opened file at the same time each day. Or post a simple daily check-in to a private log. Opened at 9:03, ugly first line placed. Keep it boring and consistent. The point is to make the act of beginning part of a social rhythm that feels normal. Normal is powerful. Habits glued to identity and community resist erosion better than habits glued to mood. Audit your language. Eliminate labels that sabotage identity even when joking. lazy, disorganized, all or nothing. These words are anchors that drag behavior back to the old shore. Replace them with precise descriptors of current behavior. Today I postponed until noon, then completed 2 minutes. Precision prevents global judgments from hardening into identity. Identity that stays flexible is easier to improve. You don't need to be a different person in one leap. You need to be the same person taking slightly different actions at the same time every day. Design rituals that signal the identity shift. A single gesture can mark the transition from citizen to craftsperson, placing the mug on the right side of the keyboard, turning on a lamp, clicking the anchor sound, sitting upright with both feet planted. When done consistently, those gestures become costume and stage light. Costumes matter. Actors step into roles through small physical changes. Your brain follows your body. Use that bias in your favor. Create a frictionless identity rescue for bad days. Write a recovery script you can execute in 60 seconds when you've drifted. Breath for 4, exhale for 6. Open the file, type the line. I am the person who opens the file on time. Place one ugly sentence, stop. That's it. This prevents one slip from becoming a story about failure. Stories are sticky. The faster you return to the identity script, the less time the old identity has to reassert itself. Recovery speed is more predictive of progress than streak length. Measure what reinforces the identity, not just output. Track starts, not words. Track days opened on time, not hours in chair. Track how many times you kept contact during a dip for 90 seconds. These are the behaviors that encode who you are becoming. When you see those numbers rise, the need for willpower drops because the story solidifies. This is what I do. Confidence built this way is quiet and stubborn. It doesn't require hype because it's grounded in evidence. When you catch yourself bargaining, one more scroll, one more snack, answer with a single identity-aligned question. What would a person like me do next? Then do the smallest compatible action immediately. If you hesitate, shrink it again. The goal is alignment, not heroics. Heroics come later, on the back of thousands of aligned micro-acts. That is how professionals behave daily without drama. They aren't stronger than you. Their identities carry the load their willpower doesn't have to. In time, you will notice a shift that feels almost boring. You begin on time because that's what you do. You surf the mid-task dip because that's what you do. You close a session with a planted start because that's what you do. Boring is the signal you've won. When identity runs the show, procrastination loses its charm. It looks like what it is, a move that doesn't fit your character. And when a behavior doesn't fit your character, it fades without a fight. Action feels like home. This is where everything you've practiced clicks into a new default. Action stops feeling like a battlefield and starts feeling like a place you know, familiar, manageable, even comforting. The same sequence that once triggered tension now cues relief because you've moved the good feeling inside the first step and repeated it until your nervous system believes you. The cursor blinking is no longer a judgment, it's a welcome. The breath cadence doesn't ask you to calm down. It tells your body this room is safe. The ugly first line doesn't shame you. It opens the door. What used to be a cliff becomes a doorway you walk through without thinking. Let's make that concrete. You sit, your cue sound plays. The lamp warms the desk, the mug touches down on the right, shoulders drop. Your hands move before your doubts assemble. A working title lands, a starter sentence appears, and a small knot inside your chest loosens because your system recognizes the pattern that always ends with you feeling steadier. That loosening is not abstract. It is the nervous system's way of saying, we've been here and we come out fine. Safety memories are the scaffolding that holds this new reflex in place. You've built them deliberately. Short reps, early endings, honest wins tagged in real time. Now they carry you. You will still feel flickers of the old pull to escape. The difference is what those flickers mean. They're no longer signals to bail. They're cues to breathe once and take one notch forward. Your hands answer before the argument begins, and the argument fades because it never got oxygen. That is the quiet victory you were working toward. Not hype, not a dramatic transformation, just a reduction in the amount of internal debate required to start and keep going. Less debate means less friction. Less friction means more days where the work happens without a scene. The environment now does more of the heavy lifting. You've stripped it of competing cues and layered it with signals that say, "This is where I begin." Your tools open to the right place. Your last line tells you where to go next. Your timer is set to containers you can trust. Trust is everything. When your system trusts that the first 2 minutes will be brief, kind, and successful, it stops bracing. Bracing is what made starting feel hard. Remove bracing and the same action becomes easy. Identity closes the loop. You don't need to tell yourself you're disciplined. You act like someone who begins on time because that's who you've become in practice, not in theory. The numbers you track reflect it. Starts logged, dips surfed, planted, starts set for tomorrow. These metrics are small, but they're the ones that matter because they encode who you are across days. Output grows from them as a side effect. You no longer chase motivation because your structure produces the feeling you were chasing. Relief, control, progress, in that order, on demand. There is room here for ambition without anxiety. When starting is safe, you can ask more of yourself without triggering the old loop. You can stretch the work window after banking a few micro wins. You can raise quality one notch at a time without tying it to your worth. You can plan bolder scenes because you know how to keep contact when the dip arrives. This is the honest path to momentum that scales. Not harder, but cleaner. Not louder, but steadier. On days when life hits hard and the system wobbles, you already know the rescue script. Breath, cue, open ugly line, stop early. Return to base and rebuild the feeling of home in the first move. 1 day of repair preserves 10 days of flow. That's what professionals do differently. They don't avoid disruptions. They shorten recovery time. Your recovery is built in because the start is simple, kind, and predictable. It asks little and offers a lot. Listen to the sound your brain used to associate with escape. Place it over the first keystroke in your mind. Let that association settle. Action is where you feel better now. Not after perfect output, not after a long session, but right at the beginning. The promise you've kept with yourself is small and specific. You start on time, you make contact, you tag the win. Kept promises accumulate into trust. Trust is what makes action feel like home.